98K BTC. Now, it wasn't like that a few hours ago. It was way worse. And never mind those altcoins that got absolutely rinsed in the last 24 hours. So, guys, we're talking about the situation today. Is it coming back for more pain? Are we going straight up? I've got the plan for you. I've got the indicator man here as well. There's so much to talk about on a Monday after that proper rinsage. Let's get right into this. Guys, and remember, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. And if you got liquidated or invalidated or rinsed or wrecked, hit it again, okay? And I'm going to hit the inverse bull right here, okay? Let's celebrate. I'm wearing the rinse shirt because I got taken out on a couple of trades yesterday. It was a little bit spicy. Let me know in the chat what happened to you guys. Let me know if you survived. Let me know what happened. And on Friday, we called a couple of shorts, but I thought I was very smart. And I closed those shorts way too early on the way down and paid the price with the pain train. So, guys, Dad with 3. My undies are full of shit. The guy says, come on. Guys, I have run out of undies, okay? They are all done. They are all burnt. They are all destroyed. It was disgusting. Okay, I just want to say it was absolutely disgusting out there, and I feel for every single one of you. Nobody could have seen that ETH was going to tap those low 2000s. Nobody was going to call, oh, we've hitting $8, near hitting 3, and Popcat going to 16. I mean, fuck me. And Brett as well. Guys, everyone out there felt pain. I'm going to show you world records were broken. And if you got invalidated, you were part of that world record. And I'm very proud. That's one record that I'm going to be proud of today. And we're in the trenches together here. And Frank says he got smoked. Well, Fartcoin apparently didn't. 44% up. Fuck that shitcoin. Can't believe it. Ondo here in the middle, 7% up at the moment. We know we've got a big week for Ondo coming up. There's an announcement every single day for Ondo. So in spite of what is going on at the moment, Ondo is definitely going to be something we need to pay attention to. Hyperliquid on the right, there's been strength in that one. I am talking about that today. And everything else, all around misery, in spite of things like 40% bounces, 60% bounces off the lows that we have just seen. But an absolute shit show, like 𝗬𝗓𝗘 says, especially if you got liquidated and then they sent it straight back afterwards. So, guys, yeah, absolute mess out there at the moment. But let's not lose. Let's not lose our what do we call it? Our energy. Let's not lose our vibes, because you know what? This market can change very quickly. This is a 24-hour market. It never goes away. Okay, so we have a couple of bad moments and then we pick the shit up and we carry on again. And while we are doing this, I can see here's my trusted sidekicks here today. There's James and Chaos. So Chaos is bringing indicators. James is bringing vibe. Okay, he's bringing so much Canadian vibe here today because we're talking about these tariffs, and he's going to give us the latest update as to what is going on, and yeah, he'll share it. So we're gonna crack on here, and stick around if you guys want some setups, if you want some macro, if you want some action. It's all going down. Let's go BTC on the 2-hour. What is going on here at the moment, and what comes next? So you would have seen a big pump in BTC now today after a little sell-off just before the market opened, and that has got something to do with goalposts perhaps being moved with regards to the tariffs. Things are starting to change around. The market is now responding to potentially tariffs getting taken away. Okay, so James is going to fill us in as to what he knows there at the moment. But in terms of BTC, you can see we've had a beautiful recovery play, or beautiful recovery pump from our range lows, our previous range lows. So 90% BTC, and that is equating to some alts pushing 40%, some alts doing 60%. I think Tao did about 60%. But remember, these are the big range lows that we've been tracking on and off for the last while, and dipping into 91. It made sense that it was a potential bounce zone, but it happened in the dead of the night, so I wasn't around to catch that one. In terms of BTC now, what do we do? So this is resistance. As you can see, it's our 50-day MA and anchored VWAP from the highs. This is a danger zone for us, 99,200. Look out in this area, this is a possible rejection zone that we need to pay attention to now. So we've had a beautiful pump into a danger area. Things that are looking good for us, I suppose, is the oscillator on the 2 hour. That is still saying that we could get a little bit more upside. Let's look at the oscillator on the 15 minutes. Let's get a picture on the smaller time frames, what they are telling us. And that is starting to give us signs of a small reversal. Now, that is 15 minutes, so it might just be a small little pullback, but that is what we're looking at the moment. And then in terms of further upside, where's my next rejection zone? Most likely for me, anything from 101,600 to about 103K. Now, that is this whole region for me. That is my anchored VWAP as well from the highs. And we've got our 618 in play there too. So if we blow through this 50-day MA, that is where I'm expecting some action next on BTC, and that is a potential rejection zone that you're going to watch. And then if they really start getting hot again, okay, I mean, is this possible that they're going to V-shape us all the way back up to 106? Look out there. That's a possible rejection zone as well. These are your potential short zones that you are going to be watching, okay, to the upside. Then downside levels that you want to pay attention to. The big one, 95,600. That's horizontals in play, and that's your previous flip from support, from resistance into support. That's also tying in with our 236. So 95,600. Watch that one for now. Then we've got the 100-day MA at 93,600. That is obviously a big one for us to the downside, and that will take care of a lot or a big portion of this wick. Now, there's something interesting that happens in the market, and Savage says, are we going to retrace this big pump? And I'm glad he's asking. So typically what we see now, most of the time, now not every single time, so it remains to be seen if this is going to be one of those weird occasions where things just rip. But most of the time, what we have seen after massive sell-offs is after a few days or perhaps after a week or two, those wicks that get left behind on the daily candles, on the 12-hour candles, those wicks come back and they get filled, and they take out generally about half of those wicks, or they fill the entire wick. And that normally comes when the market gets a bit complacent after a recovery bounce. Everybody gets long, everybody gets late long, and then they start bleeding it down. And then we get those wick fills. So that is going to be something we're going to be watching. Obviously, if you're watching the show and you're in Chart Hackers, we're going to be tracking that and that progress. The minute we get a rejection, we're going to start hunting for the next move out of these things. So we got to let BTC do what it needs to do, and then we're going to see how these wicks get taken out. So let's start with things in the news to say that it wasn't called, okay, by Sailor, okay, being on Forbes last week. We brought this and we said, ha ha, we laughed about it, but we said, ha ha, ha ha, let's hope this thing doesn't fall over. What did we have at the same time? We had ETH at the 50-day MA, ETH at major resistance. And we laughed that the last time there was people on Forbes, we had a collapse in the market. Now, fuck me, that played out. Okay, so that is hilarious. And then here's an important message. And I know some of you have watched the show, have seen this before, but this is a very important message about what we are doing at the moment. So I think let's just turn the sound down here. I need you guys to hear. Let me know if you can hear this, boys. There we go. Okay, let's see what this man has to say.
Crypto. You don't need the anxiety. Before you bought the bullshit fantasy coin, your life was good. But then you made some money and became greedy. Now the bullshit coin is fucked. And nobody can tell you when it is going to be unfucked. Even the motherfucker who convinced you to buy the bullshit coin, who told you that it is going to be the next big thing, that motherfucker is nowhere to be found. You are on your own. And all you can do is cry about it in the shower. And hope and believe that your bullshit coin will go up in price again. So that you can sell it and make some money and buy some more. And then get fucked all over again. That is crypto.
Okay, I mean that's a wonderful video. I actually love that video. Let's get the music back up. Okay, so let's crack on now. Biggest liquidation of all time in crypto history. Now the worst part about this is it sounds like these results were underreported. So it's actually a lot bigger than this. So we were looking at $2.1 billion liquidated as of earlier today. Okay, so that was a few hours ago. Follow me on Twitter. I posted this this on Twitter at the Lord of Entry. Okay, follow me there. And then Ben from Bybit, Ben Zhao. He says, I'm afraid that today the real total liquidation is a lot more than 2 billion. By my estimation, it should be about 8 to 10. Bybit 24-hour liquidation alone was 2.1 billion. Wow. Okay, so we're looking at underreported liquidations. Guys, we broke records. Okay, if you got liquidated, we absolutely broke records. I don't know if I'm proud of this record, but I thought I better wear the shirt. I mean, I better wear this thing. I had limit orders on one of my exchanges on some big levels on very low margin. Went straight through that stuff. And we're going to cover some of these levels. It was absolute filth. That went down. And Tinder says, we degens, we used to this shit. Look, I mean, you do get used to it. That's why we're having a laugh here at the moment, because it's not my first rodeo. But isn't this starting to feel appealing at the moment? Where's Gary Gensler? Don't we need him back? Can't Gary come and regulate things so we don't break records with liquidations? Come on. Where's Gary? Come back. Now, Donald had an important announcement today. And this is why the market now, in anticipation of these tariffs maybe getting relaxed, maybe getting moved. And this announcement, reading into this announcement, I just want to get James's opinion here. But Donald says he spoke with President Claudia of Mexico. Okay, it was a very friendly conversation. She's putting some soldiers on the border, okay, all of a sudden. And now he's kicking the can down the road on the tariffs. Negotiating tool or not?
Well, it is now. Last night he said not. I watched his full plain sight interview there. It was about 10 minutes long, and he said he was not interested in negotiations. This was not a negotiation tool, and that the tariffs were here to stay. And it was the drugs at the border and illegal immigration and all this stuff, but said that there's nothing that either country can do to fix this. Not right now. And today now, he said that it is a negotiating tool, and he always wanted a deal. And that's what he's after, is better terms as far as a trade deal. So we'll see. Either way, we get a 1 month pause, which is why the market's pumping. We're yet to hear from Canada. He is speaking to Trudeau at some point today, and we'll see if maybe there's some good news there too. We hope for another pause there and see if they can't come to an agreement of sorts.
Okay. So it looks like he's used this whole thing as a beating stick for negotiations. Maybe he's going to get Canada to do a couple of other things now, and they're going to take the tariffs away. I mean, it's pretty hardcore what's going down, because he absolutely fucked the crypto market this weekend. He absolutely fucked everyone that was trading. Okay, unless you were sitting in shorts. But would you have closed your shorts all the way at those bottoms? I mean, fuck, I closed all my shorts. Okay, well, I left 1 or 2 open. They fucking kept me alive. But I mean, in terms of ETH, I closed that at 3,000. I thought I was very smart closing that ETH short at 3,000. So okay, here's our Mexican news. We know about that. And they paused the tariffs for 1 month. Okay, so that's interesting. And then Kovisi letter, some important information here. New tariffs from Trump are set to impact $1.3 trillion worth of U.S. trade. The U.S. stock market has lost over $1.5 trillion of market cap, with 43% of all imports soon subject to tariffs. Okay, so yes, obviously it's terrifying now, and part of it was 10% Chinese tariffs. And I was saying yesterday that, is 10% such a big deal at the end of the day for the Chinese tariffs? I mean, I don't know if it's such a big deal. And if suddenly Mexico and Canada get wiped, and then maybe the market is going to start ripping. So Heisenberg posted an interesting plan of the S&P. He said, blueprint of Trump's first term tariffs talks and implementation in 2018. A lot of volatility, both up and to the downside, just to give you an idea, he says. And you can see lots of chop. Now, obviously, the market conditions were different back then, but it was quite a choppy period there while Trump was doing his thing. So maybe more of that on the way. But in terms of today, the S&P, I mean, look at this move off a typical 100-day MA and 618. Absolute rocket ship for the S&P. And 5,944, that is now going to be our support that we are watching. So 100-day MA, and that is looking good. Now, next target for me, you can see we are at resistance, just like Bitcoin is sitting at resistance as well. 6,027. This is a 50-day MA resistance band. I would expect that we can close this gap. But then after that, we'll have to see what happens. This might just be a reactive pump before some more downside. So let's see if we can close that gap up to about 6,060. Then we'll see how this plays out. But if we do close that gap and reject, then I think more pain is coming on the crypto side of things. Now, Matt says Mexico is already negotiating. Canada talks at 3. He's not worried about tariffs. Okay, so Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried about hitting some stops yesterday and then sending this thing back up. I mean, that's quite offensive. It's really offensive. Okay, okay, let's go. Let's get into a couple of things. So, James, any other thoughts here on the tariff?
No, I mean, I think it was a negotiating tool. Trump's got his book, The Art of the Deal, right? And hardball negotiations is something he's famous for. That's what I had figured up front. Yeah. But then he was insistent that he wasn't interested in the deal whatsoever. But I guess that was part of the tactic, just saying this is staying forever, just to really put the pressure on and get citizens in a panic. I mean, just for context here, my younger brother here in Canada works at an auto plant that supplies auto parts to the US. They had an emergency meeting with all the staff this morning to let them know layoffs are coming if this continues. So this was big business. And he knew it. So this was really, really good intimidation tactics. And it's working.
Yeah.
He's going to get his way.
And, DJNZNZ says they crashed the market so the Republicans could buy in. I mean, okay, that's tinfoil hat.
Yeah, okay. I've heard that too, that he just wanted to pick up some more Ondo and some more Link and get some good prices here.
Okay, let's get into some stuff. So I've got Chaos here. He's locked and loaded. He's got ETH, he's got Sol. He's looking at reversals to the upside. I think it's all there, the reversal to the upside. It's just how do we do it? Okay, and we're gonna talk about that in a sec. So if you like this man's face, hit the like. You know what to do, and we'll bring him back. He's looking quite relaxed. Okay, did you get invalidated?
I can't even use the words on air, but I got rinsed. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, we'll get him back. Okay, let's go. So week ahead in the S&P, there could be, other than this tariff situation, a couple of market movers. Important to me, Google earnings are coming out, Snapchat, PayPal, a couple of things happening, and jobs report, unemployment on Friday. So the fun never seems to stop. And we've also got Amazon on Thursday. So that could be an interesting one on the S&P. And then Merlin, the trader, says this is the biggest bear trap of this cycle. He said they did it 2017, 21, and now they're doing it in 2025. Okay, so this is what we've got going on here. Every major bull run had a final bear trap before sending it. Let's see what you guys think at the moment. I'm running that poll, and I said, what's the story here? You guys said bear trap going up 60%, and 40% say no, we might see a little bit more downside. So keep these votes coming. I just want to get your sentiment here. Andre's telling us gold is now almost at 3K, and that is quite a thing. Now, let's talk BTC on the daily, and this actually sums it up pretty nicely for us here on BTC. Look at this. We've pinged our range low. This was a major hub of activity previously. In fact, since November, this has been our low. So pinging these areas here. So that makes sense that it did give us a strong bounce off that region. In terms of reduction or pumping now, you can see BTC looks identical to the S&P 500. We are sitting at our 50-day moving average, and big resistance for BTC up to 100K. So look out here. This could be your first reversal point, and this brings us a nice picture of this wick. Now, if we are going to fill some of this wick, the most obvious zone to me starts looking like this 95K region. That looks like the most obvious area here for a wick fill. We've also got support from our 100-day moving average, just holding up that region. So I would say a rejection here makes sense, that at the very least we come down to this 95K level. And then in terms of a double bottom, well, that is definitely on the table for us. So 91 is back in play, and 95K. Those are the two big ones that I'm looking at on the daily. And just looking at, past experience, whenever we get these types of wicks, they often come back and they fill these wicks. Look at that. Okay, so these wicks do get filled. I mean, this one's just been dealt with, but that took how many days? That took 15 days. A little, my math's a bit off, but 16 days, give or take. And now they have filled that wick. So I have no doubt at some point this wick is going to get dealt with. We just need to be prepped and ready at the right moment. Now, let's get into the disaster that was altcoins. And if you looked at this chart while the dump was happening, you would say, oh, well, look at this. I've got a weekly level in play. Here's my 200-day MA. This is where I hit the buy button. Okay, so in theory, this worked out perfectly. This is our 200-day MA tying in with a big weekly horizontal support level. So that is a typical bounce zone. Now, when this was happening so quickly, that remains to be seen if you were ready to go and ready to push buttons. I'm sure the fear was pretty high. Unfortunately, this all happened while I was sleeping. So I missed the bulk of the action when the dump fell. I mean, maybe it was a blessing that I missed some of that stuff. So in terms of total 3, we've had a beautiful dump now and a strong bounce. You can see we are pushing into resistance. And funnily enough, total 3 looks like a typical altcoin setup that I'm going to show you now. We've had a strong bounce and we are now pushing into major daily and weekly resistances. So this tells us, is the pump going to tire out now? Is Trump going to come up with some other news? And is that going to just start sending this one a little bit lower down? So interesting level here to watch. If you're sitting very long on alts at the moment, this is a TP zone. So just be a little bit careful in these types of areas as well until we are well through. Okay, and cooking. So right now, danger zone in terms of that. And obviously, this wick, I would expect at some point some of this wick to get dealt with. So Make Money Travel Enjoy says she didn't go to sleep. Guys, look, I slept through that, fortunately. But when I opened my phone this morning, it wasn't a pretty sight. I didn't feel warm and fuzzy when I saw it. Now, let's look at a couple of other markers here. Let's talk Bitcoin dominance. Look at this pump on dominance, 64.5%. Now, that took out our highs from November 24. We've printed new highs. I mean, this is crazy what we are looking at here, and that is chopped into a massive weekly zone as well. Now, that is our new highs. I mean, did Ben Cowan even call dominance this high? I don't think he got this one. I think he was looking at 60% at the time for his highs, but that is an absolute banger zone there for dominance. Now, the problem with that is it opens another move for dominance of 12% to the next highs at 72%. So that is not really something we want to be looking at the moment, but that is there. So right now, what is the game plan on dominance and why is this important? So remember, those of you that are new to this stuff, dominance is Bitcoin dominance. It's basically telling you, is the market favoring Bitcoin or is the market favoring altcoins, for example? And you can see when dominance is rejecting, altcoins are bouncing. And you would have noted today that major rejection there has pumped things like Fartcoin 50%, Tao 60%, Popcat, Brett, all these things. They've bounced off their lows with this massive dominance rejection. So what we need to look out for now is dominance is now sitting on support. At the same time, you've got your total 3 sitting at resistance, okay? Dominance at support, altcoins at resistance. That could be a sign just to be careful here, because if dominance bounces, that is where we're going to get this rejection now on altcoins, and you're most likely going to be looking to fill some of those wicks. So, you know, what I'm saying here is the zone. And I would be extremely cautious with new longs at these types of levels, even though by the time we finish talking to Chaos, I think we're all going to agree that we are looking for more upside. But after that sell-off and these types of wicks, I do expect that we are going to have downside first, and then we are going to deal with it. So we're gonna give you guys a blueprint. We're going to give you a plan on how to deal with it. But in terms of where can dominance bounce and where can the altcoins get hurt, well, for me, it's either right here, right now, okay, bounce zone for dominance. Look out on alts that are at resistance. Maybe time for some head shorts. I've got 2 or 3 setups that you guys could potentially use. Then we've got our next reaction zone, which is going to be at 59.7%. That is going to be the next zone where alts are going to be potentially in danger. Now, I just want to remind you guys, on Friday, when dominance was falling over, that was us on Friday. It was dropping beautifully. And the first level I said, danger zone, 100-day MA and horizontal. Remember, dominance respects TA. It respects levels as well. Okay, and look at that rocket ship off the 100 and that horizontal. So again, we are now in a horizontal, possible bounce zone. If that fails, possible bounce zone 59.75. These are the zones. You be careful with your altcoins. That is what I'm saying for those that are long. Okay, be careful there with your alts. And Bonsai says, thoughts on Goku? Guys, Goku is solid. Okay, I mean, if you look at in terms of stability, I mean, look at this thing. Okay, there it goes. Okay, it's a whole the level that I gave you guys, and there this thing is bouncing. So in terms of an outperformer, I mean, look at this dog shit. Popcat. We're going to talk about this just now. Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. One more thing to talk about before we jump into all the else is USDT dominance, and you can see that this thing obviously rocketed up with a massive sell-off. What did we hit? 200-day moving average, 382 rejection zone and a big rejection. Now, isn't it funny that total 3 bounced off the 200-day MA and USDT dominance rejected off the 200-day MA? Quite interesting there how they tie in together. Now, in terms of where can dominance, USDT dominance bounce? Well, just like regular Bitcoin dominance, we are now sitting on a support band. So once again, I want to just say, look out here. And dominance is sitting on support. This could be a region where we get some kind of push higher. And just like these altcoins are going to get their, well, in theory, should get their wicks dealt with or their wicks filled, I would expect that the same would apply to USDT dominance. So even if it's a portion of this wick getting filled here, I would expect that to play out for us at some point. So whether it's off this existing zone or whether it's off a horizontal lower down, if I were you, I would watch 4.4% and I would watch 4.25%. Look out for those bounces there, and then you will see how your altcoins start underperforming if we do get that bounce. Okay, let's go. Let's talk ETH. So this was me on Friday. ETH finally pumps. Okay, you know what, guys? Fuck. Every time ETH pumps, every single time ETH pumps, it's been a warning sign. It's been an absolute warning sign for us. Do you concur?
I concur. It's not fair. Not fair.
It's such bullshit. It's such bullshit.
So unfair.
So ETH pumps, hits the 50-day MA. What happens? Global trade war. Okay. I mean, totally wrecks the market. And I found a video of the ETH Foundation actually trying to save ETH. Yeah. This is them. Trying to save I bet you they sold more. I bet you they sold more. Okay, let's go. Let's get into these alts. ETH BTC. Okay, 2 things. Bullish and bearish. Okay, number 1, bearish. We've lost our rising trend. We've lost our major trend. So in terms of the weekly chart, this thing is bearish. In terms of, you know, moving higher and things like that, we can see we've got a reversal in play on the weekly. And what does that tell me? That says, cool, ETH BTC can outperform up to 29. It can outperform up to 33. But now, in terms of that, it's bearish because after that, we're looking at rejections and we're potentially going to send that one a little bit lower. So we're going to play this by ear. 29 is your next region, and then following that is 33. So looking okay for the bounce. And let me know on your side as well.
Yep, no problem. Sorry if my internet's bad. I keep losing you. Just
I'm losing my screen. James, yeah. Am I losing my screen here?
Well, no, but it did lag just for a quick second on my end.
Okay.
Okay. We'll carry on. Okay.
Would you like to see my screen?
Okay, I want to get out. Chaos's ETH situation in a sec. I just want to give you guys the rundown, the breakdown, and yeah, I think a similar message needs to be remembered when the entire Twitter, okay, starts calling the same pattern. Okay, the inverse head and shoulders, the inverse cock and balls. Okay, I think that was the sign that it was no longer going to be valid for us. The whole of Twitter, by the time we were done with this thing, now I've been calling that inverse cock and ball since December. I think since the highs, we were saying it was on the table. And yeah, now everybody's calling this thing and it broke through. Okay, so that thing is now over. Now, in terms of what I'm looking at now for ETH, how do we play this thing? What do we do? Do I long ETH now? Like, what is the game plan? So in terms of what I see on ETH at the moment is, the last time we had a dip like this on ETH was in July. Look at that sell-off. Okay, what happened? They pumped it up at resistance, sent it back down and filled the wick. Okay, I'm looking at something similar here potentially. Happy to be proven wrong, but you can see we've bounced off our major weekly support again. This is 2,100 that we are looking at. Major support now for ETH on the weekly. We've now pumped higher. What is concerning me? 2,800 to 2,900. That is now resistance for me. That is 200-day moving average. That is 382. That is weekly levels as well, and those horizontals. So 2,800 to 2,900 for me, that could be a danger zone. That is a rejection zone where I suspect that we're going to get this wick dealt with. Now, that is obviously my first prize, what I want to see. I'm keen to hear what Chaos has to say here about ETH.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so yeah, what a friggin' nightmare this coin's been. Nothing but disappointment for quite some time, hey. So what I've done is I've taken us into the 1 hour, and I've actually been looking at the 15-minute. And what I'm really looking for is not to long this thing, because, you know, I got proper fucked yesterday. So what I'm looking to do is to find, probably on the hourly is my sweet spot, that we're actually gaining levels. Okay, so rather than just getting validated again, what I'm really doing is I'm now starting to mark out these levels. We'll wait and see what this candle does. I'm really...
Can you zoom in a bit there for us?
Oh, sure. There we go. Tell me if you can see that. Is that all right?
Yeah, good.
So
good.
we're gaining levels, guys. So look, obviously this is not a trend line that I'm establishing along. What I'm doing is I'm just tracking what these candles are doing. Now, what's interesting is this is a huge FVG or imbalance, you know, and there's obviously between where we are from here to here, there's still some of the imbalance left. What I've noticed on other tokens is we've already gained the daily and the weekly. Okay, this is the level where we opened up, and it feels like, I don't know if I wrote it on this chart. No, it's on a different chart. The February open, doesn't it feel like a year ago? It's only the 3rd of Feb, guys. So the thing is, between now and further up, we've got so much to contend with. We've got the daily and the weekly open, well, the weekly open specifically. We've got this fair value gap to close. We've got absolutely order blocks coming out of our ears. There's the MA50 on the daily up here. There's just so much up here, you know, and at any point we can literally reverse. So what I'm really looking for is just to keep watching these candles and actually establish a proper uptrend. If I can see that we're bouncing off this line and we start to gain some of these levels, especially the weekly open, then I'd be looking for a retest to actually maybe potentially start going long. But I'm not long on this thing now. It's just too close to the bottom.
What's your retest zone there, sir?
Realistically, if we come back to 2597, call it 26 for a round number, and we have a positive reaction, and we start making highs of around 28, and we close this imbalance, then I'll be a little bit happier that we'll have made a 3rd level and potentially a 4th. So I'll feel more comfortable then.
Okay, so 2.6 is you've heard it from Chaos there. Okay, so 2.6 is what he's looking at. That takes us to midway down that wick, which is obviously on the table for us. So just remember, you know, it's time and time again, we get to these points where we get these pumps, then we get complacent. What happens? We get complacent, there's late longs coming in, and then they bleed you back down, and it's pain. Okay, and now we have seen last week. What did we see last week? We saw a bearish Monday, Tuesday, and we pumped for the rest of the week. Then they killed us. Now today, would we call this a bullish Monday after that bearish sell-off? Would you call this a bullish Monday?
Well, I can tell you now, Trump has now fucked us for a 2nd time. First on his coin, now on these tariffs.
Yeah, it's double.
I'm not sure how I feel about this guy right now.
Okay. The Trump dump. Okay, so guys, look, I would be cautious. James, what are you seeing here?
Well, at least he didn't ghost you. He called you back, right? Gotta hand him that.
Okay, let's get into some more charts. Let's get you guys covered. Guys, drop some of your charts here as well. I want to help you as much as I can. I see Mihai wants some whiff. I do have no, I don't have whiff. I've got Brett. I've got Popcat, but I can do whiff for you guys. Okay, maybe Chaos is going to do some whiff for us there, and we'll get. Look, he's nodding. He's nodding. Okay, he's going to bring you whiff. Let's get into some more here. Let's see what we got. Let's talk Sol quickly as well. I know Chaos has got a little bit of Sol for me. Big level here. This was Sol on the weekly, and firstly, my big zone that I was loving, this 210. They floated around a little while, and then they absolutely shat through this level. And what did they do? They pinged the 200-day moving average. How's that? Total 3 on the 200-day. USDT dominance into the 200-day. Sol hits the 200-day MA 180. Weekly horizontals, massive level, strong bounce. So that for me is going to be your low marker at the moment. That is what you're watching now for Sol, 180, and you can push it down 175, but that is ideally what you're looking at now. So if they are going to bleed us back down from this current resistance, you can see 211 danger zone here for me. If they do bleed us back down, 180 is what you guys are going to be using as your support marker on Sol. Now that is if the market remains bullish. Okay, that we've got to make an assumption here. Well, we don't have to make an assumption, but you know, that for me is how it's going to play out. If that does play out, we're going to hold this trend, and then we're going to look for that type of move there on Sol. So Chaos, anything you seeing here in particular?
On Solana, absolutely. if you want to just share my screen. Okay, cool. So unlike ETH, we have actually gained the weekly or daily open. Okay. And what I like about this, let me just really show you guys. We've actually come back and we've tested this. Now, this is just on the 1 hour. And honestly, this is not the greatest test in the world. What you'd want to see is on a larger time frame. It's still a ping and a wick. What we need to do is we need to hold this level. You know, if you see here, we've already started gaining levels from the lows. We've obviously come up and up we come. But what we need to do now is we need to keep gaining these levels. Above here, at the close of this candle, we've basically got 213 as the next level. We've got a quantum reactor, which is providing a level of resistance. We've got, yeah, this is where I wrote it. Look, feels like a year already. The February open. So, you know, it's like, you know, I've actually got 2 levels for the same thing. I need to check that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of resistance. We've got a lot of order blocks up here. But I do like the fact that Solana has now broken above this open. We've tested it. If we can hold this and make our next move and form another high, I'll be just a little bit more confident that this cash flow wave that you can see down here may go
Christina
green.
wants you to zoom in to your charts. We've got to zoom you in here. So just make them bigger here so she can see everything. There we go.
Okay, no problem. There we go.
There we go. Okay, so you're looking for a pump into order blocks there.
I'd like to see 213 and make another higher high. These are only on very short time frames, but I'd like to make another higher high. Then I'd like to regain the level. And then, of course, we've got some resistance up here at 225.
Okay, so your main support you're watching here?
Realistically, 203, 204. We need to hold that. Otherwise, we're coming down again.
203, 204, boys and girls. Okay, so that does, yeah. Look, I mean, I'm trying to focus on the higher time frame stuff for now. But guys, obviously, we got tons of degens here, and we're going to cater for you. I've got a few lower time frame setups coming in for you guys as well. So we're covering the higher time frame stuff because I'm sure some of you guys got absolutely smoked, and I want you guys to see where your big levels are. I also want you to manage your euphoria. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 short plays for you at resistance. If you are sitting long at the moment, I'm going to give you some options here, and that's also telling you that we are seeing these things at resistance. So bar some more news now out of Trump, obviously the market can pump and things are dangerous. And the other option is obviously sit out for a couple of days, let the news subside, let it do what it needs to do. If you've been caned, okay, have a break. You can come back tomorrow, the next day, because I'm telling you what, if the market rips now for another day or two, at some point you're getting another short opportunity. You're getting a dip as well that you could potentially long. So you're not missing out on anything other than your own sanity. So just take it easy if you're feeling like you had a couple of bad days there, and you know, you can sit out, okay, or wait for the best opportunity for you. Okay, so let's talk AVAX, another massive one for us, and I thought this is important that we cover this situation. So interesting. Yeah, I think we also have a trend in play. Look at this banger here. Look at that. Okay, so just through. Okay, but what I like here was 20.7. That is our macro 786. Now I'm going to show you a couple of charts today where the market melted down and it pinged straight into a macro 786. And again, I want to emphasize the importance and of something as simple as a fib being a guide. And it happens so often that you cannot deny that these things work in those major zones. So the importance of a macro fib in tying out your big weekly levels and that type of thing on a pullback, you know, it cannot be, I cannot enforce it harder how important these things are. Look at this macro 786 fib here, 20.7 for AVAX. What happens? They dump it down and it reacts on that zone. What is it tied into? Weekly candles. Now, obviously, AVAX dumped straight through my big zone. My big zone was this 29.5 to 30 that we were looking at for the initial reaction. And obviously, I mean, that trade war situation, nothing was going to stop that move, and straight down. So looking at the AVAX chart, if we have to be completely objective about things, this could have a little bit more upside. But for me, I'm looking at some kind of rejection here and that pump to get tired by the time we're pushing into 29.5 or 30. And you can see we're not being too smart here. We're just looking at some big weekly levels here, big weekly resistance. So a little bit more of a squeeze here. 29.5, 30 is probably going to be a rejection zone or a danger zone for you guys that you want to look at. And then we can go back in time and use history and say what has happened in the past when we get these dumps. And you can see there's a couple of examples, but here's one here. We had a beautiful dump from the high. What happened? They pumped it back up, and then within the next couple of weeks, they'd sent it all the way back down to retest. Yeah, here's another example. We had the dump. They sent it up. They sent it back down again. So again, this time could be different. Okay, it could be completely different, and we could start climbing higher. And if we do, we'll make sure we track those levels. We make sure we track those flags. But for now, I just want you guys to be safe. I want you to be protected, and I want you to understand your big zone. So in terms of AVAX, 29.5 to 30 is your danger zone right now. Okay, you can see why. Let's just not get too euphoric. If you're jumping in late, remember your potential downside risk is 21% on something like AVAX, for example. And they could easily send that down and grab all those late longers and flush everybody out there. I see DGen Zenzen's got her hands full here. Render, Bonk, Ondo. I've got Ondo for you. I've got Render for you coming in hot. And oh no, Mia, Render was filth. Okay, I mean, Chaos had a level on Render 4.8. I had 5.2, give or take. And what did they do to us? Even lower, even filthier. Okay, let's go. Let's look at it. Here it is. Now, another 786 macro fib pool. Look at that. You can't make this shit up. Market's falling over. What happens? 786 fib pool from the extreme lows. Look at that. It's from the lows of June 22 to the highs. What does it dump into? Trend and 786. Now, it doesn't make the pain any better, but hopefully there's a lesson there. And if you ever are in front of the charts and the market is collapsing and falling, you guys can understand the importance of these macro fibs and how they can work for you. And here is your example. So pinged it to 3.18 Chaos. So yes.
Do I win? I was closer. Do I win?
You were closer. You had 4.88. I was 5.22 or something. 30%. Okay. 30%. Yeah. Now, what I want to do with Render is just give you guys the same picture. Total threes at resistance. ETH is pushing into resistance. AVAX is pushing into resistance. We can see these alts are bouncing into resistance zones. Can they go higher? Of course they can go higher. But, when you start pushing into these types of levels here, your balance of probabilities, you need to say, fuck, maybe this thing's getting a little bit overcooked now for the short term, not necessarily, longer term. Obviously, we can see these things on the daily might be teeing up for some bigger moves to the upside. Yes, you can see our daily oscillator at the lows there, and we could be gearing up for a beautiful divergence and then a beautiful pump to the upside. But how do we play this with the lowest risk possible? How do we manage our risk here now on Render, understanding that we are pushing into these types of danger zones? So I just want to break Render down for you on a DGen setup and just give you guys a bit of a breakdown on as to how you can play it. So firstly, just acknowledging again on the weekly, Render is sitting at resistance. Anything up to 4.88, which was Chaos's low last time, is now your resistance band that you want to watch. If we do pop a little bit higher, there is argument for a fake out back into the range. There is argument for that. And then the sell-off. Okay, so that is possible as well. So look out at 5.3 to 5.4, call it 5.5. Look out for that. That's a 236. We do have some weekly action there as well. So that is on the table. One more pump and then maybe some kind of sell-off. Now, let's break this down in a DGen play so I can try and explain to you guys typically what we're looking at and what we're looking for. And Green Hill says Giga POTUS ready to break out. That must be some other kind of shit coin. Let's see what does Kesh say. Just joined the stream. Dill's t-shirt priceless. Feeling the pain. Guys, it was disgusting. Okay, it was disgusting. Harsh, I've got Peppy for you, bro. And that is coming in hot. And Arctic Trading is looking to short the XRP. I mean, the XRP, looking to short XRP. Look, there's a lot of altcoins. You're going to see, guys, a lot of alts are sitting at resistance now. You need to make the call. I'm going to give you some short setups you can use, okay? And I'm going to give you some DGen long plays as well, so you guys are covered. So in terms of Render, looking at this thing on the 1 hour chart, you need to break this down as a DGen trader. And ideally, you want to look for some kind of divergence. If we're looking at Render on the 1 hour, you can see this 1 hour is still quite hot. It might push a little bit higher first, and we might want to look for something where we get some lower highs on the oscillator, and we start printing some higher highs on the price action. So that is typically what you're going to look for on the 1 hour time frame. Now, you can obviously dial in on lower time frames and start trying to pick up resistance zones. So you can see right now, render is sitting at the VWAP, and there is action here. You can see it is trying to fight the VWAP at the moment, but in terms of where do I think we can get a rejection, for me, it's either, well, at this VWAP, which you can see it's trying to force itself against, but other than that, we're looking at 5.3, okay, 5.35, which is, okay, funnily enough, that guy, okay, that's our macro 236 fib pool. So we know that that is actually quite a big level. So 5.35, that is zone number 1. And then if it does force itself a little bit more, you're looking at 6.12. Now, these are both potential short zones or / rejection zones for me on render. Okay, so play that safe there. Then let's look at lower time frames. Let's see what these oscillators are doing. Okay, we're reversing a little bit here on the 15. Okay, so just note lower time frame things. There might be some kind of just dip here. And then I want to point out to you guys again how important it is. Get your VWAPs in on the lows from the dump. Look at this. Look how render, and I'm going to show you 𝗬𝗧 as well, has responded to the VWAP. Okay, very simple move here. A little dip from render, dips into the VWAP. That acts as your support level. And there, okay, you got a DGen 236 fib there as well. Okay, so just notable there, you can use these VWAPs to your advantage, especially the DGen traders. So in terms of rejection zones, you've got it 5.35 and 6.15, that type of level there. That's most likely where you get that that pullback on render. And just note, guys, this wick, okay, yeah, I mean, it would be hard to say they're not going to come and deal with some of that at some point. Okay, so it could easily just look like a push into those zones, and then they come and bleed us out, okay, before the next move. So, and I think somebody just shorted. What happened there? She short? She shorted fart. Oh, she shorted. Okay, so fart has been shorted there. Okay, Chaos, do you have some action here for us?
Yeah, with render, if you want to just bring up my screen real quick, I've actually just very similarly got similar zones to you. So this 5.3 region, this is actually where our quantum reactor will intersect. So that's my first point of resistance. Then obviously we've got some order blocks. Pardon me?
5.3.
5.3, yeah. Just
nice.
a bit.
Okay, so that's a big. That's our big weekly as well, and that's our 236. Okay.
So we've got the QR that comes across. That's my first point of essential resistance, and then obviously slightly further up, I think you're a bit higher than me. I've got 5.94 where the order blocks start to kick in. So, but yeah, this resistance one is exactly on the money with what you said. And it lines up perfectly with the money flow. It gives it time to push up, and then we'll see if it flips green and then makes its way through here to the next point. But like I say, we're watching closely the candles. Hey.
Okay, guys. So you get it. I mean, look, you can see what is getting played out in front of you. Let's look at another one here, and I want to bring this 𝗬𝗧 to your attention as well. So we've had a beautiful bounce on 𝗬𝗧, but look how it looks the same as Total 3, as ETH, as AVAX, as render. It's pushing back into a major resistance band. Now, again, not saying this thing can't go more, not saying it can't break back into that range, but I want to just point out to you guys, if you're piling into longs here, this is coming into a major resistance after a 51% bounce. Okay, so you decide, okay, if there's more energy here for 𝗬𝗧 in the market, but I just want to give this to you guys. Your low is obviously 236 that you're going to be watching, and then anything in between is going to be, well, we're going to be looking for those wick fills, but we're going to do it on a DGen basis. I'm going to break it down for you guys. So chart hackers, guys, we're obviously going to track these over the next week or so. We're going to track render, injective, 𝗬𝗧, all these. We're going to look at it on lower time frames. I'm going to fill these in my trading setups channel, and you guys are going to have access to this. So if we do start bleeding, we're going to be looking for some proper DGen setups here on these things for you guys. And remember, all these charts that you see here go straight into chart hackers after the show. So as soon as we're done, now let's talk in terms of hedge plays at the moment. We've seen a beautiful pump. So bags might have recovered a little bit. What are our options? Okay, so I've got two options at play at the moment, and I've opened two very small positions on 𝗬𝗥 here. These are short positions. One of them is dupe. The other one is 𝗬𝗧. Now I'm going to explain in detail as to why this could be a nice hedge play, and I'm going to explain in detail as to where the next zone is going to be for you guys. Now remember, you don't have to take, if you've been at a hiding, Okay, it doesn't mean you have to jump in the market and go max long. It doesn't mean you have to revenge trade and now short the market. I just want to give you guys a couple of options that you can play with. So for me, obviously at the moment, the way things have been pumping and things like that, and we're sitting at major resistance, just a little bit careful for now until the news settles. And if we do get some bad news coming out of the US again, then we may or may not get some kind of sell-off. So I want you guys to be prepped, and I want you to have the options. So in terms of 𝗬𝗧, why is this interesting to me? So just going back on our daily chart, you can see this entire band here for 𝗬𝗧 is a weekly resistance band that we're going to be watching. You can see this whole region here for us looks like a bit of a danger zone. So anything up to 370 to the upside is a danger zone for us. And then if we go back into the lower time frame chart, you can see here is our major daily resistance. Okay, look at that. That was support previously. And we can assume, safe to assume, that that should act as resistance at least on the first tap back. So you might have a situation where we maybe fake out and then send it down. But what I want to point out here is it's going to be our first tap back into major daily support, which could act as a resistance band. So in terms of, a high probability area, if it's ever going to reject, that looks like a reasonable zone to me for 𝗬𝗧. So anything from 370, and look, if they push you hard, you're probably going to look at 385, something like that, but you can get a bit of pressure here before this thing starts reversing. So I would be cautious up there with 𝗬𝗧. So if you're sitting in longs, maybe that's a zone you might want to just de-risk, maybe take something off, because you could also get a situation where we just start flagging. And then that is what we're going to be looking for. If we're going to pump through these types of setups, we're going to look for that flag, and that's a potential breakout play for us later on. But for me, in terms of what I'm looking for now, a little bit dangerous for me to jump in longs here. Okay, so for anything, it's screaming shorts at me at the moment. And then what you can do is, if you do get the rejection, pull your fibs from the low to the high, and you want to start looking for your potential bounce zones, your potential reaction zones, and you're going a full degen basis again, and you're going to look for your VWAP, and you want to just look for your reaction areas to the downside. Now, if the market remains, I don't want to say bullish, but if Trump cancels the Mexican tariffs, he negotiates with Canada, then I think it's quite a simple play for the market makers. They flush out all the late longs, and then you look for some kind of bounce play off some of these levels. So that is basically the strategy here. Ivan says bull trap in progress. Guys, anything is on the table right now. After this weekend, I don't want to say nothing is not on the table here for us. So all I can do is give you the big levels, give you some strategies around it. And, you're going to be pushing your own buttons and playing safe. Yes, sir.
I'd like to remind everybody, too, this is a heavy data week. Just to keep that in mind while you're looking at all this stuff. I'm going to throw in the chat here the link to forexfactory.com. It shows all of the red folder data days, what's coming day by day. It's got the weekly calendar I'm going to drop in here. And a lot of this is job openings and things like that. But unemployment rate, all that stuff. It's an important data week. So just keep that in mind as you're pushing buttons here.
Okay, there you go, guys. You've been warned. Okay, you've been warned. Obviously, things can go up, and we can feel like the biggest euros in history. But if they reverse here, you got to make sure you covered, and you got to make sure you have that information. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, now just to cover BTC, if you are sitting in this thing, and let's say this thing rips now today, let's say it rips even harder. Okay, which would be unreal. I mean, I don't think in history we would have seen a candle that rips all the way up that looks like that. But if it does rip again, okay, if you're ripping this thing 446, that is a massive, massive rejection zone there for me. Okay, so look out up there. Okay, if there is some kind of another bit of news in the market, 448, 446, guys, that is where you make sure you are jumping out, or you are getting out, or you are shorting the shit out of that thing. Okay, Chaos, what are you laughing at there, bro? Systematic taxation, UFO. Okay, Ondo, let's go. Wait, almost Ondo. Let's go Dupe. Here's another head short for you guys. Again, pick your favorite altcoin. Okay, so I'm not trying to shovel dupe down your throat. You'll find if you really look hard enough and you do the work, a lot of your alts are going to be looking like this. It's a typical resistance setup. You want to find the best one with the VWAP. You want to find order blocks up there. You want to find MAs. You want to find horizontals in your way. That's going to stack up to a high probability zone for you guys. So in terms of a backup plan for you, in terms of a possible short zone for you guys. This is just a typical area that we look for. Now, subject to whatever happens next on the market, we can see we might be a bit premature here on the 1 hour. You can see that 1 hour is starting to push. So we can acknowledge that and say, okay, cool. That thing could send us a little bit higher first. So that is working against you. What is working in your favor here for this potential setup, and why it caught my eye, is it's the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. So these are big areas generally. Look how they act as support and resistance. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Support, resistance. Look how this behaves. So if we push into these types of areas, this becomes a zone where you just pay a little bit of attention. So if you are net long on everything now and you've been pumping 50-60% today and you're not sure what to do next, well, this is a typical take profit zone, or this is a typical head short zone. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We've got a descending trend. We're bumping into 200-day. We're bumping into 50. We're bumping into 382. These are typical reaction zones here. And then in terms of where this thing can go, if the 1 hour keeps playing out to the upside, I would say your most reasonable next zone, okay, for your next entry, if this region fails, your most reasonable next zone for a rejection is going to be your 100-day MA to your 618. You've also got that VWAP in the way. So you're looking at 101 to 105 is going to be your most reasonable next zone where you can look for that kind of reaction on Dupe. Now, if we do get to that zone, we might be changing our game plan slightly, because that's going to tell us we might be looking for some bullish retest and some bullish breakout retest play on Dupe later on. Okay, so this trend line is going to play its game. It is going to do something here for us. But right now, let's get through the 200. Let's get through the 50. If we do, then we can start looking for longs on Dupe. You can see simple trend line play that we are watching at the moment. Okay, guys, makes sense? I hope that makes sense to you guys. Chaos, makes sense to you?
Of course.
Nonsense? Makes sense.
Makes sense.
ICP, also disgusting. This thing absolutely shat the bed, ICP. Do you ever track this thing?
Never.
Is it a shit coin?
It's the ultimate bed shitter, isn't it?
It shat the bed completely. Okay, guys, in terms of ICP, I'm not going to hop on this one. I actually wanted to talk about Ondo. But in terms of ICP, just to give you a big picture, this thing, it's lost some big levels. Okay, 200-day MA is your most obvious upside target for this thing. Okay, if this does start coming back, we'll deal with it up there. Okay, we know that that's going to be a massive short zone. Right now, just pointing out here for you guys, you've got your trend. Okay, that's in the way. You've got your 0.5, that's in the way. So right now, in terms of any further moves on ICP, I would look out. 7.63, that could be a danger zone there for you guys. That could be the zone where they do send this one a little bit lower. And right now you can see 7.1. That is it's an argument zone at the moment. Okay, let it play out. That 1 hour still wants to push higher. You can see this cash flow also looking like it might want to go up. So give it some time. 7.6, 8.1. Okay, ICP. Those ones, that for me is where your possible rejection zones are. Trump now considering hitting EU with 10% tariffs. What does he want to negotiate now?
Right.
What is he going to do now?
He's just not happy, is he? He's just not
I
a
think
happy
he wants
guy.
to stop that illegal immigration at the border between the EU and America.
Okay, so ICP you got. Let's talk Ondo. Now, guys, it's a big week for Ondo, and we know Ondo's a massive RWA play, BlackRock, blah, blah, blah. We know fundamentally this is a banger, and Ondo says, get ready. Week Summit begins tomorrow, and each day leading up to our inaugural Ondo Summit on February 6th in NYC will reveal a major announcement. Okay, let's see. Okay, what is going on here with Ondo? So this is Ondo on the 12 hour, and you can be excused for getting rinsed on this sell-off. Look at this move. They did you 44% from Thursday night. They call it doing the bundle. 44%. From Thursday night, guys. Okay. So you can't be upset with yourself if you got rinsed on Ondo. I think nobody was really expecting that type of carnage. In terms of Ondo, where it goes, I would say this is something you want to watch for an entry this week. This is where you need to be, and I think we need to start paying attention quite closely to Ondo. But in terms of what I'm looking at here, your first line of support that you can use. Now, you can just do it as simply as looking at your 12-hour time frame. That is your support. 1.27. That's your 100-day. That's your 12-hour horizontal as well. 1.27. Guys, that is the best support I can give you. Look for the 50-day MA rejection. You can see here, okay, resistance. Look out here. There's a danger zone here, 1.44. If you do get that rejection, that is most likely going to be your safer entry zone, 1.27. So look out for that. It would be, for me, pretty dangerous jumping into longs here. So I just want to emphasize again, just exercise caution. Just reading the chats here. Syed wants to come to Chart Hackers, bro. We can make it. It's almost time for another giveaway soon. Ondo, they literally tapped my liquidation price. Abe, I know the feeling. I know this feeling. And Philippe says, I was scared too long saved from the trap. Okay, he got saved from the trap. Good. Okay, hopefully you guys didn't get too smashed on the weekend. Now, here's something. Here's another RWA play, OM. Okay, this is OM on the 1 hour that we are watching at the moment. And I dropped this one in Hackers earlier today. I said there were two possibilities for OM. One of them is either it's got to go higher. The other one is it's got to go lower. So OM, we know it's been one of the better holders considering the market dump. And now this thing is starting to look relatively more aggressive. So in terms of getting a piece of this OM, you can see we are rejecting currently. In terms of getting a piece of this, your safest zone, if you want to touch this thing, 5.48 down to 5.32. That area for me now is starting to make sense as your bullish retest zone. Okay, so look out for that. That could make sense. We've had a nice pump. Let it reject. If this thing's going to stay bullish, 5.48 to 5.32. Look for that type of bounce there. You can see you've got VWAP just pushing up as well. That could be a zone of interest there for you guys. Yes, Yumi, OM really is flying at the moment. Jeez, I'm running out of time here. What else you got cracking there?
Just having a look at BNB at the moment, but it's not really great. I'm looking at OM though with you. It's gaining level by level. It's really gaining, isn't it? Crazy.
What is this? Okay, OM. Okay. So yeah, give us something else. Give us like
hold on.
Give us something you got. What do you got there? Link. Don't you have some link action?
Whiff. You asked for whiff earlier, didn't you?
Me whiff. Yes.
So with whiff, hold on a sec. Hey, listen, I mean, this indicator called it perfectly with this short. It's unbelievable. We've actually hit TP3. Obviously, we've pinged these lows, but what we're now doing is we're now looking to potentially come back and hopefully take the weekly open. I can see that cash flow is literally flowing back in. Whether this is temporary or not, we'll have to wait and see. But what we'd like to see is one of these pop up somewhere in this region. I'm not saying it's necessarily full bull source, but at some point we need to reverse. And this is actually showing, again, this is on the hourly, TP 1, 2, and 3. We do a reversal, everything's facing up. So if there was a trade that I would be looking at today, if I got a buy signal, I'd be interested in trying to play with a 16% with very, very tight stops because of what's happened yesterday. But this looks interesting.
I mean, this is the 1 hour and it's showing quite a strong reversal. How's the 4 hour looking there?
Let's take a look. Hold on. Just make it so we can see. Sorry, guys, give me a sec. Come on, computer. So in terms of cash flow wave, we've obviously bottomed out quite low. The RSI is very low. We're in oversold territory. Same thing again. Let's just take a closer. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're ready to get some reversal signals once we start getting a reversal signal down here in the oversold. And if you look here, that's just printed while we were talking. So what we might be looking at here is the very, very early signs of reversal here. This may disappear again in a moment. There you go. There's more things printing as we speak. So let's see what happens on this dot. If we get a dot and this starts to flow back in, then we very well may make up the 16%. And this is literally one imbalance candle, you know, we just start making up the fair value gap. If we start moving, it should go quite quickly. So I'm interested in this one.
So guys, the thing with trading with indicators is Chaos does a lot of that in chart hackers, and it can be a very stress-free way to do it because you're trading spot, you're taking positions when the indicators are telling you, it's time to start moving up, and you don't mind a little bit of chop in between. You're sitting in spot, you're chilling, and then eventually that move plays out. And these indicators are accurate. Sometimes they don't get it exactly on the day. Sometimes it takes a little bit more time, but they do eventually start playing out properly. So if you're interested in some relaxing range trading and some indicator trading, Chaos is doing tons of that in chart hackers. Remember, everything that I talk about is actually under the show description. Just click here under the show. You can see it's all going down. There's my trading accelerator course. I just did the last workshop for this cohort. We got another one coming up next month. And there's chart hackers, second from the top, that you guys can grab and then take a look at everything else that is happening here. There's Banter Bubble, there's Accelerate, all the other exchanges that I trade with are sitting here as well for you guys. Okay, and I see Maruk says she's only trading XRP. She's obviously getting good at trading XRP. Maruk, if you see some cool setups there in chart hackers, won't you just drop them in the traders chat and let the other guys get a taste of your XRP setup there? Thanks so much, Maruk. What an absolute legend. Okay, let's go. Yes, sir.
Breaking news.
Yes.
World Liberty Financial just bought $400 million worth of ETH. Maybe that wasn't so tinfoil hat about getting good prices. That's a big buy.
God.
That's a big buy. And he was
$400 million,
$400
guys.
million, yeah. 86,000 Ethereum in the last 7 hours.
Whew, okay.
Better
okay,
look at some ETH plays.
Yes. Well, I mean, that is quite a buy. Okay, so we'll make sure you guys are covered with some ETH plays this week. But obviously, guys, Lido. What's the other ones? ENS. What are the others? ENA. Optimism. Arbitrum. Peppy. What are the other bangers? What are the other bangers you like, Ben?
Well, those Mog's another one, but I don't know how these memes are going to do here, right? They've had a bounce today, but they got so hammered. It's not the safe bet it used to be. You run to Mog or Pepe when ETH was pumping.
Yeah.
But LDO is maybe a better choice.
So, guys, keep your eyes on. We know there's a potential staking situation coming. Lido, LDO, Lido. Okay, you've got to watch that one. I want to get through a couple more charts for you guys, but I am running out of time. So, here's a setup for Hyperliquid. This thing has shown strength. Okay, this thing has shown bullish strength in spite of what has been going on in the market. And I just wanted to drop you guys a degen setup here in case there is a small little sell-off in the market. You can see we do have a reversal. So typical rejection zone. This is Hyperliquid on the 1 hour. Typical rejection from a horizontal, so no surprises there. Now we are pushing down. So if you're looking for a degen play, Hyperliquid could be something for you. 23.5. Look for that. A little bit degen, but I've got VWAPs here. I've got horizontals. I've got 382. I like the look of that down there. It makes sense to me for a bounce. 23.5. Watch Hyperliquid there. And then you've got your 24.4, which is your super degen 236 fib. Okay, so, okay. To be fair, it's a level. Let's mark it. There you can see horizontals in play on that 236 there. Okay, so we can see something can happen there. 24.4 in terms of the higher conviction play, 23.5. So that is my preferred bounce zone, 23.5. But you can maybe get something here, 24.4 degens. Be careful, don't over leverage. Okay, let's go and quickly do Popcat. And literally the depths of hell for Popcat. All I want to give you guys, those that need a little bit of Popcat hopium, we are trying to break back into these 3-day lows. Okay, you can see that. We are pushing back in. And if we can hold above 20, then I would say, okay, Popcat might have something going for it. So looking to hold above 20. Thanks for that, Poopcat. And we want to hold above 20 on Popcat. Yeah, look, don't FOMO into this thing. Fuck me. I mean, this thing can rinse you left, right, and center. Just to give you an idea, the size of the pump and dump that we've had just today. Okay, the recovery, 62% bounce. Okay, don't get caught up now trying to late long something that's just bounced 62. It might go up, but it's danger. Okay, it's dangerous. So just be careful there. And Cosmo the Wonder Dog says more like Poop Cat. The other one is Peppy. Okay, so ETH play. Yes, you've got to have some Peppy. I know it was disgusting falling over, but if the World Liberty are buying $400 million of ETH, yeah, some Peppy, guys. Okay, so we went a bit lower than we wanted to. We actually, I mean, it was a rough ride. But in terms of current support you want to watch, 915. watch 915. If we get a pullback there, 915 for me is what you want to see hold. That's the level. Upside targets, easy. You're looking at 13. You're looking at 17. Those are your upside targets here on Peppy. Just hold 915. That is what I want to see. That is what I want to see there. Looking for a Popcat blow off bottom. That would, I think that was pretty close to one. Then let's go Brett. I know there's lots of Brett traders. Guys, I had to cut my Brett position. It just put me under way too much position. It was $140,000 long, and that thing just kept sweating and sweating and sweating, and eventually I had to cut it. So I'm no more in Brett, but obviously going to look for some entries, and I am still bullish with Brett. What is wrong with Brett? I think, Saeed, everything fucked up, bro. I don't think they just picked on Brett in particular. They just decided to rinse everybody that was holding any form of altcoin. So in terms of Brett and what to do now, again, careful here. This is resistance. You can see this 5855 is a danger zone for Brett. Now, if this thing keeps squeezing to the upside, you need to know your areas where it can tap out. So you want to watch 622. You want to watch. That's a banger there. 7.3. Okay, those are your upside levels, 622 and 7.3. So if this thing keeps moving, okay, look out for rejections there. 622 and 7.3. That is most likely where you get the reversal. So if it doesn't reverse here, you're most likely getting it in that zone, or you're getting it in that zone. So just give it time. It would be the most epic thing in history for this thing to completely pump this candle even further. I mean, can you imagine what this candle will look like if it sends it even higher here? It's fully retraced that entire dump here at the moment. It's actually crazy the size of this move. Let's just look at this. 56% bounce on Brett. Okay, so those are your danger zones, guys. Look out there. Now, again, you're not seeing many, let's go all in long setups here from me, because there's news floating around, and I'm a little bit cautious. I just want you guys to be safe. We do know these wicks, they come back. Okay, so just remember that. Here's another example for you. Look at that wick sell-off. What did they do? They pumped it up, got euphoric, and then they sent it back down. What, got euphoric again, and then bang. Okay, so let's just get some kind of consolidation in the market. Let's just see what is going on. Let this thing play out for a few more hours here, and then we start figuring out a plan of attack. But in terms of danger zones, they're all pushing into these big danger zones that you need to be watching for now. Okay, so I'm going to drop... more charts are obviously always available in Chart Hackers. I updated all my daily time frame levels today. Every Monday, I update all those high time frame setups. So if you want more charts, guys, they are in Hackers. You're welcome to join Hackers. There's a big crew in there. We've got a massive team. We've got guys scalping longs and shorts for you, dropping signal, dropping trades all day long. I'm obviously in there interacting as well. Chaos is there, DJ and Dave, James, who is there all the time. He's killing it in there, okay? Such a legend, okay? He'll look after you. Just say, hey, James, I'm new. He'll sort you out, okay? He'll look after you in there. So that is that, guys. Just play safe. Chart Hackers, I'll drop an update a bit later on tomorrow. Same time for me, same place, the show. And hopefully we get a little bit more market structure. Then we can start planning our way around things. I think the most dangerous thing to do right now is to FOMO too hard. So just play it safe, and we'll make sure that you guys are sorted out. The market goes nowhere, okay? Just your money can go somewhere down to zero if you make mistakes, okay? Chaos, thank you, sir. Find that man in Chart Hackers as well. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. See you later.